In a quiet town surrounded by hills, there lived a young boy named Arjun. He was bright, curious, and always eager to learn new things. But there was one thing that set Arjun apart from other children. He worried about everything. He worried about school, his friends, his family, and even things that had not happened yet. His mind was always buzzing with anxious thoughts, and it made him feel tired and restless all the time. Arjun's parents noticed his constant worrying and tried to comfort him. They would say, "Arjun, don't worry so much. Everything will be fine." But no matter what they said, Arjun could not shake off his worries. He thought about his grades, whether his friends liked him, and what would happen in the future. His mind felt like a never-ending storm of thoughts that he could not control. One day, Arjun's teacher, Mrs. Rao, noticed that he was not paying attention in the class. His eyes looked distant and he seemed lost in his thoughts. During break, she called him over and asked gently, "Arjun, is something troubling you? You seem distracted." Arjun hesitated but then opened up. "Mrs. Rao, I cannot stop thinking about everything. My mind is full of worries." Mrs. Rao smiled kindly and said, "Arjun, I understand, but carrying all these worries in your mind is like trying to carry too many books in your arms. Eventually, it becomes too heavy and you cannot move. You need to empty your mind. Let go of some of those worries." Arjun was puzzled. "Empty my mind? How do I do that?" Seeing his confusion, Mrs. Rao suggested, "Why don't you visit the wise sage who lives on the hill? He is known for helping people find peace. Maybe he can teach you how to clear your mind." Next morning, he woke up early and began his journey up the hill. When Arjun finally reached the top, he found the sage sitting quietly by a serene pond surrounded by blooming flowers. The sage was an old man with kind eyes and a gentle smile. He looked up and greeted Arjun warmly. "Hello, young one. What brings you here today?" Arjun explained, "I have heard you help people find peace. My mind is full of worries and I don't know how to make them go away. Can you help me?" The sage listened patiently and nodded. "Your mind is like this pond," he said, pointing to the clear water. "When it's calm, you can see your reflection clearly. But when you throw stones into it, the water becomes disturbed and everything becomes unclear. Your worries are like those stones, disturbing the peace of your mind." Arjun looked at the pond and saw how the slightless ripple made the reflection blurry. "But how do I stop the stone from falling in?" he asked. The sage smiled. "Let me show you something." The sage took Arjun to a small hut nearby. Inside there was a table with a teapot and 2 cups. The sage picked up the teapot and began to pour tea into one of the cups. He kept pouring even when the cup was full, and soon the tea overflowed, spilling onto the table. "Stop! The cup is already full," Arjun exclaimed, surprised by the sage's reaction. The sage stopped pouring and looked at Arjun. "Exactly. This cup is like your mind, Arjun. It's already full, and yet you keep adding more and more worries, more thoughts. When your mind is too full, it cannot hold anything new, and it overflows with anxiety. To find peace, you must first empty your mind of what you do not need." Arjun stared at the overflowing cup and realized what the sage was trying to teach him. But how do I empty my mind? He asked. The sage led Arjun outside and gave him a small pebble. Hold this pebble tightly in your hand, he instructed. Arjun clenched the pebble tightly in his fist. Now, how does it feel? Asked the sage. It feels uncomfortable. My hand is starting to hurt, Arjun replied. Exactly, the sage said. Holding on to worries is like holding this pebble. The tighter you hold, the more it hurts. Now, open your hand and let the pebble go. Arjun opened his hand and the pebble fell onto the ground. Instantly, his hand felt relaxed and free. See how simple it is, the sage said. Letting go does not mean you ignore your problems or responsibilities. It means you stop holding on to them so tightly. When you let go, you make space for calm and clarity. This is how you empty your mind. Whenever a worries enter your mind, acknowledge it, but do not hold on to it. Imagine it as a pebble. Open your hand and let it go. Focus on the present moment and trust that not everything needs to be solved immediately. Arjun thanked the sage and returned home, carrying the wisdom he had learned. Arjun's life changed as he learned to approach his challenges with a calm mind. He realized that worrying did not solve problems. It only made them seem bigger. But emptying his mind, he found the clarity and strength to face whatever came his way. The story of Arjun teaches us that our minds can easily become overwhelmed with worries, making it hard to see clearly. Just like a cup that is too full, our minds need space to be able to think and feel freely. By letting go of unnecessary worries and focusing on the present, we can find peace and clarity. Empty your mind of what you do not need, and you'll make room for calm, happiness, and a better understanding of life. Remember, not everything is worth holding on to sometimes. The best thing you can do is simply let go. Thanks for watching and always keep smiling.